Well, from knockout boxing on 3 Sport coming up next week to push and shove on the streets of Wellington. The Street Fight Part 2 now, and this is the Mini Enduro. It features a driver change. It's the Sports and GTs, the Grand Tourers race. It features the Porsches from last year, and they are lining up on the start of the grid. Your commentators will be Wayne Munro, Brian Kelly, and a special guest spot from Justin Bell.
The Nissan Mobile 500 Grand Touring cars are proudly presented by Allied Movers.
Well, rolling around there, absolutely positively Wellington, and absolutely positively a great big mixed bag of cars here taking the field for this 1-hour endurance race, the Allied Movers GT race.
Well, Wade, we'll welcome in James Kay, as comments from James Kay in this particular segment of it, because Justin Bell away at a press conference, but Justin Bell's had his share of GT racing in Britain, and James Kay, so too have you.
Yeah, I've done quite a bit of this kind of racing in England through the years.
What is nice is to have James along here at all, because we had some reports about your welfare yesterday after that nasty accident in the Castrol Toyota. It doesn't take much, does it, mate?
Yeah, I made a bit of a mistake there and tried to knock out the wall with my head, so I'm lucky to be here, really.
Well, you're still making good sense as we take a look at the Allied Movers race cam view, heading up Cable Street, just as they run around to grid up for the start of this race. Up front, of course, the Lighting Direct Porsche Carrera RSRs, two very, very powerful cars that really blitzed the field here in qualifying yesterday. Owen Evans there in the lead car on the pole position. Owen at the wheel at the moment, sharing the car with Rolf Kalleners, a German chap who just happens to be the ADAC GT Cup champion in Germany, driving this car. So a very, very talented team put together there.
Wayne, this virtually does become a mini version of the Nissan Mobile 500, because Owen Evans, we've got quite familiar with him last year, winning the race.
Indeed, these guys, Bruno Eichmann drove with Owen Evans last year in a car that looked the same, but it was actually probably about 40 horsepower less powerful than this particular machine, which we have here at our disposal now. The guys were telling me, the Lighting Direct team, having imported this Carrera RSR straight out of Germany, and there goes the green light. Hold on, boys. Let's just see who can get the best start out of these. Ray Williams sitting back just a little bit.
Now, we've heard there's a car still around the corner, so they're not quite ready yet. The rules of this, basically, the driver change has to come within the 40 minutes. They have to make a driver change somewhere in the first 40 minutes.
Correct. Looking back down the grid there from the qualifying times yesterday, we've got Craig Simmer sitting in the second of the Lighting Direct cars. Now, he's a Kiwi who's living in Britain and has done for many years. That's in the 9 car. He is a Porsche champion in Great Britain and has also ran in Le Mans and all sorts of places. It's a bit of drama here on the start grid.
Well, it's the Simmers car, the Simmers Fulford car, that they're just making some adjustment to, but I believe that at the back of the grid there's a car dripping oil, so that's going to cause some problems, and I think they're taking that off the back of the grid.
So Craig Simmers come home to New Zealand. First race he's had here for many, many years. Done a lot of sports car racing and Porsche racing in Great Britain and Europe. Not really one of the big names of Kiwi motor racing, but we're in the starter's hands now. 5-second board. Wait for the green light. And let's see who can nail it best. Well, Evans did a good job in the lead pole position RSR to get off the line. We look at the mixed bag of cars there, including the Pine Pack Mustang. Oh, and one of the guys takes the short route through the chicane, dives around to the right-hand side of it there. You'll see there's no penalty applied, I don't think, for that, because in the heat of the moment, sometimes you have to take evasive action, and it's better to miss everything than to hit the walls or the chicane.
Well, it's a nice little run-off road, that, really, but all the cars just sorting themselves out, because this is a 1-hour race. It's 2:15, 3:15, they'll drop the flag, and somewhere in that 1 hour, they'll have to change drivers as well. So I think the picture may change a little bit through the race.
Well, already you can see that very clearly it's going to be a Porsche-dominated race. No question about that. You're looking well back in the field before you pick up Noddy Murdoch's car, the very, very potent Nissan Silvia Turbo from the South Island, bringing some variety to this field. But there we go, 3 Porsches in a row. I think the third of them is, in fact, the car of Gray Mathias and Greg Murphy.
There's the Allied Movers mini cam, and a great view as they go around the Wellington waterfront.
Now this picture, why we're getting a picture from this car fairly well back in the field, This car, it's a miracle the thing is here at all. They had a major shunt at the chicane in practice yesterday, and the boys from Wellington Polytechnic have been at work. Some of them haven't had more than 2 hours break from working on this car and a couple of others, but this one in particular in the last 24, 26 hours.
Take a look at the leaderboard as they come around to complete lap one. Still a long way to go, and it'll be the Evans-Kellner's car in first place. Owen Evans driving, having the first up drive. We'll watch their race strategy. As I said, a maximum of 40 minutes in the seat, and then they have to change over. And then it's the Simmons Fulford car. We're on board the Owen Evans car at the moment in the Gillette Minicam, and a great view of the Wellington waterfront. You can see how close they get to the Armco, to the walls. This is the man that won the Nissan Mobile 500 race last year, and we're riding around the Wellington waterfront with Owen Evans underneath the Peanut Slab Bridge. Let's go for a ride.
Well, James, maybe you can just talk us around this lap, because you've driven some of these cars, and of course you haven't had a great deal of time on the Wellington street circuit, but you have got a bit of a taste of it.
Yeah, I've got a bit of a taste, concrete taste. Yep. You've got to be so very careful here. This is probably the corner we've just been through, is probably the slippiest corner on the circuit. This corner here going in, you bit off camber when you come out, so you've got to be very careful there. This corner, there is no margin at all. You've got the concrete wall on your right-hand side. We've also got some little bits that stick out. We're very, very careful through there.
How do you find this bend, the Motorola Pages sweeper?
That actually, the shortest route through there is actually the quickest route. You don't take a normal racing line. You've got to go the shortest route round there. That's where all the rubber is.
So now Gillette Custom Plus Minicam takes you for a ride with Owen Evans up Cable Street, coming to the very fast part of the circuit. Unfortunately, I don't know whether you want to close your eyes as he goes around here, because that was a nasty experience you had there yesterday.
Yes, I made a judgment of error there with the left-hand drive car I'm not used to, and unfortunately smacked the wall.
Well, it was such a pity, because you'd been competitive with Julian Bailey, and that was a car you hadn't driven that much either.
That's correct. I've only done about 20 laps in that car this year.
Look at this fight, though, Brian. Very, very much a battle between the two Lighting Direct cars developing here.
Owen Evans at the wheel of his Porsche. So we still stay with him, and he knows that right there behind him is teammate, and it's the Simmons is at the wheel of the Simmons Fulford Lighting Direct Porsche as well. So it makes quite a spectacular sight around the Wellington waterfront, doesn't it?
Sure does. Bill Fulford was just telling me, the team owner, who now owns 2 of these cars and 2 Carrera RSs, 2 Carrera Cup cars. As he says, it's a bit of a drug, this motor racing. He only got involved in it a couple of years ago and already has 4 Porsches to his credit, and he thoroughly enjoys it. He's looking forward to getting into the number 9 car, and the rate that Craig Simmons is going, putting the pressure on Owen Evans, could even be in the lead of it with one, and also have his Owen Evans car right up there as well.
Well, it looks like just a little action in the pits already, and we're only into the very early few minutes, the first few minutes of the race. Taking a look underneath the car. It looks like it could be a fairly major job that the boys are working out there. That's Ray Williams.
Yeah, what a pity. That's the car of Carl Hansen and Ray Williams. Carl Hansen owns it out of Whangarei. And TR7 V8, Ray Williams had big hopes for this car. He was reckoning he was going to be able to nail some of these Porsches, but at this rate they're going to be well back in the places, Ray.
Well, I saw Ray hold up the fingers. 5 minutes, reckon 5 minutes for a quick change, and they'll be out there. They'll be out there again.
I need a container for the oil.
This car had qualified in fairly well up the order, actually, in 7th place. But here's the race up front in the Allied Movers GT race, a 1-hour enduro, just 3 laps old so far.
Owen Evans leading his teammate. It's Craig Simmons at this stage. But we have the latest situation from Murray Taylor in the pits with Ray Williams.
Well, Ray, you should have stuck with Porsches, mate. What's happened?
No, we haven't given up yet. I do love my Porsches, and it's going to be a bit of a Porsche day today. But I'm really grateful to Carl and the boys and the sponsors, Pit Stop and Turbo Vehicles, all these guys to give me a crack at it. Unfortunately, the diff seems to have let go as I gave the tyres a warm-up. and I think we've broken a dip, but we haven't given up yet. They reckon they can change it, so we're not giving up yet. And look out for Pukekohe, because we're quick on Puke. Go for it. Thank you, mate. Thanks very much.
He's telling no lies when he says they're quick at Pookie, because they actually gave the hurry up to the car leading the race in some unofficial testing and also in a club race recently. So definitely the car to have down the big backstraight at Pukekohe. But as we get the Gillette Custom Plus mini-cam view from Owen Evans' car heading up Cable Street, this is the point on the circuit where they're reaching maximum speed on the Wellington waterfront this year. 190k through there in the 2-litre touring cars, and these guys circulating about 6 seconds off the pace of the 2-litre cars, so they won't be too much off that speed, James Kay.
No, they're probably through there. They're probably going actually about the same sort of speed as the touring cars. Maybe they haven't got the grip that the touring cars have got around the corners.
Here's this car that's made the reincarnated Allied Movers Porsche with the Allied Movers mini-cam on board. At the moment, I think Glenn McIntyre was going to start the car, Glenn being a regular Wellington racer, teaming up with another local guy who's done a lot of Nissan Mobile 500 racing, Dave Barrow. So these guys are absolutely stunned at the fact that the Wellington Polytech people could put together this car again after the mess. That's exactly where it hit. The view from the mini-cam tells the story. That's where they went in yesterday. It was only such a slight hit, said Glenn, and suddenly he was in the wall. And that was your story as well, wasn't it, James?
Just slight hit, yeah.
There's
no margin for mistakes here.
There's some interesting combinations out there as we'll check through the leaderboard in the race, but we've got the likes of Andy McElrea and Ashley Stitchbury, also on an RS Porsche, now a couple of Formula Ford champs, and we just checked the leaderboard there. Andy McElrea at the wheel, and they're holding on to 4th place at the moment after 4 laps of the Enduro, a 1-hour one, so they're going very, very well.
Well, you can see the leaders there weeding their way through the traffic. This is Lion Brown Corner. They're just leaving now into New World, and you can see one of the Mazda RX-7s, the black car, one of the new Mazda RX-7s, but of course pretty much of a production-based car, that one, compared to these, which are thoroughbred racers. But I think we're going down to look at, talk to Andy McElrea. I think Murray Taylor has him down in the pit lane.
Well, Andy, in fact, it's not you in the car, it's Ashley. What are you two Formula Ford runners doing here?
Well, we were fortunate to be given the opportunity by Bill Fulford, organised by Mark Petch, and so we're just intending to do the best with the equipment that we've been given. We're very pleased to get this opportunity, so that's what we're doing here.
And you've got some other opportunities coming up in the summer of motorsport.
Yeah, I'll be running the Mark Petch Motorsport Auto News Trans Am this year, which is a big step up from me from what I'm used to. But this driving the Porsche at Wellington's a good warm-up for me.
Well, good luck.
Thank you, Murray.
Well, Wayne, we talked about interesting combinations, and there we talked to Andy McElrea and Ashley Stitchbury, but also I noticed a couple of, your mates are out there from the Nissan Sentra class. Tom Priest and Bart Simpson are driving a Peugeot Club Sport car.
Yes, well, Tom Priest has launched into the Peugeot class as well, and you can see that there's some really interesting driver combos. This guy here obviously decided they were going to pull in quite a... there's the McElrea Stitchbury car. We're looking at the third of the Lighting Direct cars. That's a slightly older car. In fact, I believe it's one of the cars run at Wellington last year. Yep, in fact, that was the car that Owen drove. It's a new car to New Zealand, sorry. Owen Evans went to Zolder in Belgium and raced there this year. And this car was imported soon after that for them. So this is another one of the new cars. I think there's been now 8 of them imported to New Zealand. So just rounding out the Motorola Pages corner there, you can see the Mazda RX-7, one of the MGB GTs in the field as well. Into New World there in the right-hander into Cable Street.
That's the 3rd placed car, rather 4th place to Ashley Stitchbury in 4th place overall. As we take a look at the leader of the Enduro, the Allied Movers GT race, and the leader, Owen Evans, at the wheel. They're due for a driver change, well, anywhere within the first 40 minutes of the race.
So far the race just 10.5 minutes old. So Owen Evans, the winner of the Wellington Street Race last year, doing a great job out front of this race because of the Porsche's not available this time. Here we go for an Iowa replay down at the chicane. Look at the RX-7 fly. Not the way he'd like to do it. Gets it kicked up. The Spoiler World RX-7 looking a little bit sad now, and he's just trying to see if he's still got suspension, steering in order. James, not a nice thing to happen to you.
not at all.
That's the David Knox Anthony King Mazda RX-7.
A lovely sound from that Carrera RSR.
It's fantastic sound, yeah.
Back,
Be so careful on the throttle.
back in the driver's seat with Owen Evans.
You can see him squeezing by one of the Suzuki Swift GDIs there. And there we go. There's our top 5 at the moment. Owen Evans in the second car, the Bill Fulford, Craig Simmers car. Greg Murphy is actually in the Gray Mathias car. Then in the next car, Ashley Stitchbury sharing with Andy McElray. And Don Kay rounds out the top 5. Stay with us. We'll be back shortly.
This is an Iowa. Remember that, an Iowa. It is not an Iowa, nor is it an Iowa. An Iowa is a large state in the USA, and an Iowa is a particularly nasty karate move. Please note the difference. Otherwise, instead of getting one of the best mini-systems in the world, you could well end up with a very large piece of dirt. Or a very painful experience. Good luck with your shopping.
Wins for oil. Tried and proven on the racetracks of the world. Reduces friction. Reduces wear. Gives that extra protection, endurance, performance. Wins for Oil overcomes the danger of zero lubrication and startup by clinging to moving parts. Does the same for your car. All cars. Wins for Oil for your car.
Gillette has always led the world in disposable razor technology. Gillette were first with a twin-blade disposable. And now, Gillette goes further ahead with new Custom Plus, the world's best disposable. It delivers greater control through its longer handle. And a smoother, easier shave because of this unique Hydroglide moisturizing strip. Custom Plus even has an aloe version for sensitive skin. New Gillette Custom Plus, the world's best disposable shave.
Penny Farthing Cycles present the Hopper Range. Kids 12-inch, only $99. Kids 20-inch mountain bike, now $199. 10-speed mountain bike, just $249. 18-speed from $349. 21-speed, only $599. Buy them now from Penny Farthing Cycles.
Challenge yourself. Do more. Go further. Be better. It's a challenge we've accepted. Ford, proud sponsors of the All Blacks Challenge for the World Cup.
When was the last time you felt all the elements? Boss Elements.
How do you float a Navy? Find out Monday on 2020. This time, reporter John Campbell lifts the lid on the New Zealand Navy.
Well, do you know what I see in your reporting of this? A determined effort to undermine defence in New Zealand.
Another defence spending spree?
That's right. Burglars.
Also, a tip for women in the office.
You've also got to worry about how you talk.
Brought to you by Bell South. 2020, Monday at 8:30 before Law and Order on 3.
Welcome back to the Wellington streets in the Allied Movers race, and look at this, Tom Priest, that's his little Peugeot, gets very loose there and almost puts it in the Armco. And back in the lead of the race, that's the Owen Evans car, the same guy who won the Wellington Nissan Mobile 500 last year, out in front of this race. There we've got Allied Movers minicam as he heads down to the Coca-Cola hairpin.
This is the real tight part of the circuit there, and we see all sorts of exciting things that happen there in the other races. But at this stage, there's no traffic. Earlier on, we saw a lot of traffic on the circuit, and that was making things quite difficult for Owen Evans to pass. And that's one thing you'll have to watch with a one-hour race.
Well, you can see he's opened up quite a gap on his teammate there. That's Craig Simmers in the second place in the second Lighting Direct Porsche as they weed their way over the Dunlop Bridge on the waterfront. But I think Murray Taylor has some update for us from pit lane.
Well, once again, Owen Evans has brought out a top-running European, Ralph Kalleners, You're a leading runner in Porsche racing in Europe, I understand.
Yeah, we ran in the GT Cup, and I won the series. We had three wins out of the series, and this particular car, which is driving here now, this was my car in the 1994.
Well, I remember your father, Helmut Kellner. He was a star in Europe, an Interserie and McLarens.
Yes, that's right. I'm trying to step into his footsteps. It's quite difficult, but I'm trying my best.
And what's your impression of the Wellington Street circuit?
Oh, I like it. It's quite difficult to learn because it's very, very bumpy, but I like the circuit. I like to drive near the walls and to the Armco.
Well, your car's in the lead. It's all down to you, I think.
Yes, we have still 45 minutes to go. It's a long race, so I hope everything will be fine in the end.
Well, welcome to New Zealand.
Okay, thank you.
Well, Brocky was talking about street fighters, and I'd say if this guy likes the walls and likes to brush the Armco, he's going to be very happy here, just like Peter Brock, just like Smoke and Joe Winkelhock. But in the meantime, out front in the lead of this Allied Movers race, we're looking at the car of Owen Evans, and Ralph Kellner is the man we were just talking to, going away from the Coke hairpin.
Well, one car we're going to keep our eyes on today, an interesting combination, Gray Mathias and Greg Murphy in the Porsche at the moment. They're holding on to third place, so a great little drive, and Greg Murphy at the wheel of that. Now, Greg Murphy has had some success, in fact, big success at Adelaide, and he's also had some prangs on the Wellington waterfront as well by the look of that little Porsche. Done a little bit of damage to it.
Well, this is a guy that you know a little bit about, James, because you've raced with him in Australia, haven't you, in the Toyota Carina?
Yes, this past year I've been racing in the Australian Toolid Series, and Greg's been sharing the car with me in alternate races. In fact, at Bathurst this year we shared for the Bathurst 1000 Classic, which was a fantastic experience.
Any thoughts on this young man and the sort of talent he's got?
I think that Greg has a very, very bright future in single-seater racing. He's very young. I think he's only 21 years old. He should really have won the Formula Babham Series this year in Australia, but he just a tiny bit of bad luck at the last race. He's got a very bright future. He needs to get to Europe really to make full use of that.
Right. I'm sure he'd love to do just exactly that, James Kay, because he is busting to get into something next year, and so far the latest reports we have, of course, he's running here in the Street Skills series on 3 Sport in the New Zealand Summer in the Formula Brabham, which he's just got organised for himself, ran it at the Adelaide Grand Prix meeting and won there. Now he's looking to clean up in Kiwiland, but next year he's going to be driving an Audi in the Australian 2-litre Touring Car Champs. Well, that's the way it looks at the moment. But there he comes, slinging the Barker's number 4 Porsche around the New World corner onto Cable Street. And here he comes up here, Greg Murphy, having a very nice outing, running in third place in the car owned by Gray Mathias. Well, in fact, he's into pit lane. There you see.
Well, this is the Allied Movers Grand Touring race, a 1-hour race, and they've been going for just over 15 minutes. And the Allied Movers minicam, and we're in the car of the McIntyre Barrow Porsche as well, so we get to look at some of the traffic on the car and just on the track to see what it's like negotiating around some of those slower cars.
What a fantastic comeback this is. Glenn McIntyre and Dave Barrow, this is the car they had the big prang in at the chicane. Now they're up into 6th place, having come through. They're running there right on the tail of Don Kay, who's got one of these modified Porsche Carreras, an imported car, another one of the imports. His car's modified somewhat, so quite a powerful car, I think runs the Motronic engine. So that's not one of the back markers. They're fighting for that place. Don Kay in the 5th place. Glenn McIntyre currently holding down 6th.
One thing that a lot of the cars will find out there, including the leaders, is that it can get very, very busy at times, and we've seen that on several occasions, probably busier than Lambton Key or Custom House Key on a Friday night, quite congested, and that makes passing just that much more difficult. And maybe that's the problem that Greg Murphy had, because he's done some damage to the car, and it could have been in a passing manoeuvre. And there's Greg Murphy, the Greg Murphy car. They're down in the pits at the moment. In fact, Greg's out of the car. We go to Murray Taylor.
The car's in the pits. Greg Murphy just taking his helmet off. Greg, bit of damage on the front left. What happened?
Down the end of going to the hairpin, there was a slower car, and I was pushing fairly hard, I suppose, and I locked it up, and I couldn't turn, and I just went straight into the back of him. So it was my fault. Oh, shit.
Well, they're just telling you haven't done the 20 minutes. Okay, well, Greg Mathias in the car. Greg Mathias in the car now. This is not like you, Greg.
No, Happens, I suppose, happens.
Yeah, that's motor racing. Okay, so you haven't done the 20 minutes, which means that Gray's got a problem now. Before you've done the driver change too early.
We have. I think that he's got to go out. We've got to come back in again, obviously, now. We were going to have to come back in again anyway, so it's a change drivers, so he might as well go out and have a run, I suppose, and we'll have to do another one when he comes in.
Okay.
Thanks.
Well, they were looking so good too because they'd got up to 4th place, so a great little drive from Greg Murphy. And as you heard, he wasn't very happy about the driver change.
Well, shall we say some candid comments from Mr. Murphy there? He will really regret that later. He'll look at the TV program and say, well, did I really say that? He's a nice young guy and also someone I think is headed for stardom, just as James Kay suggests. He does need to get overseas. He's exercising all of his efforts to try and do that, but a little wee bit of a mishap there, and we all know that it can happen to the best of people, don't we, James?
Thank you.
Well, Steve Soper as well, mate. There's a growing number of you, I must say.
Yep.
Back on board the lead car, and you can see from our Gillette Custom Plus Minicam the view from Owen Evans. In fact, he's way out on his own at the moment. There's a reasonable gap between, in fact, about 6 seconds between Owen Evans and the car, and a little spin there. The next car, the Fulford Simmers car, that looked like Glenn McIntyre. Dave Barrow having a wee spin, a wee moment for them.
Oh, yes, there's the damage, and the Iowa replay is going to tell the story. Oh, well, did he ever do well? Just keep it off the walls there at the Lion Brown curve. Just backs it in, and that's all. But how about that, saving the car off the walls in that spot?
Yeah, there isn't much room there.
This is turning into a very eventful Allied Movers race for Glenn McIntyre. But we may be doing him wrong. It might be Dave Barrow. He's got a major problem with that car, in fact. As you see it coming through the sweeper there, the Motorola Pages turn, and there is something wrong with that car, I'm sure, James.
Yeah, it looks a bit wayward. The car is very, very steery from the rear. He's doing a good job to hang on to it there.
Sure is. Well, the boys from the Wellington Polytech have spent such a lot of time on this car. Well, he's continuing on, even though it obviously feels pretty bad to him. Sure, he got the messages through from that the last turn he did.
Seems like a brave bloke to me.
There you go, the words from James Kay as we look at the Allied Movers minicam. A brave bloke behind the wheel of this particular Porsche at the moment.
So having all sorts of handling problems.
The car is quite deranged in the suspension, it seems to be. Coming into the Coca-Cola hairpin there, looked very, very bad. Suddenly lurched sideways. Looks like is that our race leader looming up behind him. Just be very careful there, Owen, as we get the view from Owen Evans' Porsche. Gives them the go-by heading down to Dunlop Bridge.
This is the in-car view from the Glenn McIntyre, the Iowa replay. You can see what happens. You'll see the nudge perhaps as he hit the... I don't actually think he hit the wall at all, although there is some damage there, so it wasn't too hard. It didn't appear to be too hard, did it?
No, pretty gentle by the time he'd got it under control, but he did well not to slam it into the walls at that particular point. Sure didn't need another major working effort to go in on that car. They're hoping to run, of course, next week at Pukekohe as well.
Great shots of our race leader, Owen Evans, and they're not too far away from the halfway mark of the Allied Movers Grand Touring, the GT race. This is a 1-hour endurance race, kind of like a mini Nissan Mobile 500 really, because at some stage they'll have to come in and do a driver change, and I imagine there won't be fuel changes, tyre changes, anything like that, just virtually just a driver change.
It's up to them to do it if they like, but of course they do have to change the driver, so whatever they want to fit in that time, they're allowed to do it. But James Kay, this car has a major league wing on the rear of it. I'm sure you wouldn't mind one of those on your Toyota back home in the BTC, would you?
That's right, I wouldn't mind one now. Next year the championship, the rules are changing, so we can actually run wings on the rear of our cars.
I don't think you'll be allowed to have one quite that size, huh?
Maybe not.
No, I think it's a very exact specification that the Super Touring car wings are going to be, isn't it?
Yes, they've got to fit within an 80mm box. If you look at the plan view of the car, right at the rear of the car. And we can also change the front of the car as well. We can put a spoiler on the front, which has got to be no lower than the sill and no further out forward than the bumper. It should make quite a difference to the handling of the cars.
So no more of those little Alfa Romeo mod cons like the extendable front splitters, huh?
That's right, no more of that. But okay. I'm sure Alfa Romeo have something up their sleeve.
It looks like we have another car into the pits. It's the number 12 car, Andrew Fabrin and David Templeman. Now, driver change for them, just a simple driver change.
Well, again, quite an early change, though. It's, oh, no, they can be within the time, okay, 26 minutes down. So, yes, they will meet that maximum 40 minutes, and you can see the work still continuing on that Carl Hansen Ray Williams TR7 V8. A real beast of a car so far as the horsepower stakes go, but unfortunately, Ray warmed the tyres just a little too viciously.
Well, they've certainly lost, they've missed the first 26 minutes of the race virtually. There's a real variety of cars out there, from Ford Sierras. There's the Ferrari 308. Now, Ken Smith in the Ferrari 308 GT has, he's sharing a drive out there with Stuart McCondack from Takapuna.
Well, unfortunately, Brian, no, in fact, they didn't make the start grid. The car bent a valve this morning or last night, and they are out of the race. So Ken, in fact, has climbed on board the little Suzuki Swift, which we've seen in action in the main race and in several other races, the New Zealand touring car races as well. And he's out there sharing that car somewhere in the field, lost in this wilderness of many, many cars entered in this. Oh, and a major crash there. Lots of smoke. Can't tell where it is at this instant. Oh, dear me. The chicane has claimed another one.
That's Stephen Litton and Eric Swinburne.
It was an Alfa Sud. I don't think it is anymore. It's a very, very deranged little motor car.
That's a big one. That is an absolute big one, and we'll take a look and see just exactly what happened on the Iowa replay. Oh, the notorious chicane. There it is. Unforgiving. Oh, a beauty.
Well, I don't think he'd be thinking so just at the moment. I think that makes the score about 30 to the chicane, touring cars, everything else, 0.
We'll take another look at that in slow motion. You can see the Alfa. The front left-hand wheels just throw it right offline. Nothing you can do about it. That would happen so quickly, wouldn't it, James? You know about that?
Yeah, sure do.
We hate to have to keep reminding you about this, and we're not really picking on you, James. There's one very unhappy person sitting there. We don't know which of the drivers that is, whether it's Stephen Litton or Eric Swinburne. Yeah, Steve from Hamilton, Eric Swinburne from down in Queenstown. But a very disconsolate man as he takes a look at the remnants of that little Alfa Sud.
I bet he'll have a sore neck in the morning.
Yeah. Oh, and more action. Again, that's our race leader. Just hit Tom Priest's little Peugeot down at the Coca-Cola hairpin, and the fist is waved. Don't know who was in the wrong there, but Owen Evans is making his feelings very well known. Quite a solid hit there down at the hairpin.
Well, it's negotiating all that traffic, and I think we're going to see a little bit more of that. It might not be with Owen Evans, but it'll be with other cars. There's lots of traffic at various times as the faster cars catch those slower cars, and it looks like we'll have the pace car out onto the track. Now, this will bring another interesting aspect to the race.
Unfortunately for Owen Evans, this means the end to a 7.6-second gap that he had, and a stunning 58-second gap back to the Bill Fulford car. Look at this now. Here comes the Iowa replay. There goes Owen Evans down on the inside into Coca-Cola. The 22 Peugeot pulls across in front of him, and woofa, he gets it. Around the outside goes Owen Evans. This is where the Joe Winkelhock, Steve Soper action happened as well.
It's one of the few passing places on the Wellington waterfront, and it's there where various cars take different angles, and it's there you also have to be very, very careful. So the pace car comes out for the Allied Movers Grand Touring race. We'll be back for the action shortly.
With the new Sentra range, we've made choosing a new car more difficult than ever. With a choice of sedans, hatchbacks and wagons that's bigger and better than ever. But while the decision to buy a new Sentra is easy, picking exactly which model is best done at your local Nissan dealer. In the meantime, take a look at your choice of colours.
G'day. There'll be some cracker days like this over summer, and a few crook ones. We've all got somewhere to go, something to do. But remember, I'll be working while you enjoy the heat, pointing out the fire danger. Me and my arrow, every summer day. Putting this right here, or here. I'll keep working while you keep looking for this sign. Come on, keep it green.
The worst thing about getting somewhere is stopping on the way.
In a hurry there, Mr. Brock?
Yep, always.
Get out,
At Mobil, you won't stop for long. Mobil, the quick stop.
Thanks to used Japanese assembled vehicles, it now costs so little to change to something better. Whether you're changing to a $5,000 or a $55,000 one, a used Japanese assembled vehicle can offer features like power steering, air conditioning, electric windows, quality stereos, and cheap running on unleaded petrol or diesel. Japanese assembled vehicles have helped set the standards for quality and reliability. Driving one makes sense. So drive one this weekend and enjoy the change.
Monday on Law and Order. The killer sends out a message.
I did it to them, I can do it to you. He shot 50 people, he doesn't look old enough to tie his shoes.
He goes by different names.
They say El Diablo.
He's got powerful friends.
Prince of Darkness.
And bringing him to justice
I'm a friend of Tommy's. What, do I sound like a cop?
could prove deadly.
Officer down! I can't breathe!
In the most compelling episode yet of Law and Order, 9:30 Monday after 2020 on TV3.
Welcome back to a pretty well slow motion now Allied Movers GT race with the top five showing up at the moment. Bill Fulford in the lead. Well, it's gone that way because Owen Evans, you can see there, has just pulled into the pits. That was our race leader, and under a pace car situation, the lead has changed with the car of Bill Fulford and Craig Simmis, the Porsche, going into the lead ahead of Owen Evans, Andy McElray and Ashley Stitchbury in the third spot, then Don Kay and Murray Taylor down in the pit lane with Ashley Stitchbury.
Well, a flurry of activity. Andy, there's too many of you guys. Andy's out on the track. Ashley's just come in. How's it going?
Oh, really good. Under the circumstances that if it's on driving Owen's car, very greatly, lent to us for this round in Pukekohe, and he said before I went out, if I damage it, I have to work for him for 10 years without pay. So I thought, well, I've done pretty well to keep it off the wall.
Well, you need a proper job anyway. Now, you've had a busy weekend. You're also out in the Alpha. A few dramas yesterday.
That's it's normal things for a new car, first time out. So we were pleased with the just to get some miles on the car. It's a non-championship round here and Pukekohe, so we just look forward to the first championship round at Bay Park.
So this is a big treat for you and Andy here today. We've got the names right now. A big treat for the boys here in Wellington.
Definitely, yeah, it's a great privilege for Andy and myself, because Bill Fulford trusted us with his car, and Owen said yes to letting us drive it. So all thanks to Lightning Direct boys to get us here.
I wouldn't trust you with my car, but I haven't got a Porsche.
Thanks, Murray.
So there we leave the slightly confused Murray Taylor down in the pit lane there. He doesn't know his Ashes from his Andes, but I'm sure he'll get it right by the end of the day. But you can see the pace car situation prevails on the Wellington street circuit at the moment because of a nasty accident down at the chicane. The chicane claiming yet another victim as the little Alpha Sud comes through, hooks it up, and suddenly just heading straight for the wall. No way to stop it, and bump! Great big smash into the wall, almost leaps over the wall, in fact, and that car is not going to be good for much after this, guys.
That's a big one, isn't it, Wayne?
Not nice at all. The Wellington Street Circuit always claims many victims, but this year I think it's maybe outdone itself. The accident toll seems to be rising by the moment. So Murray Taylor is down there with the man who led the race for the first part of it, Owen Evans.
Well, Owen, off to a good start. bit busy out there.
Oh, yeah, working for the traffic gets a bit busy now and again. Had a couple of moments, but apart from that, it's been pretty good. Most of the guys have been pretty good here.
Well, you had one quite exciting moment. You went right around someone?
Yeah, well, down here, little yellow Peugeot, he obviously didn't see me. I thought he'd left the gap open for him. I was right behind him. When I started to get in there, he started to move across. Luckily, it's one of those things, but, just one of those things,
Well, last year you bought us Bruno Eichmann. This year you bought us young Ralph Calleners. Yeah. You certainly find the talent from Europe.
We've been quite lucky in that way, unfortunately, but Ralph's a very good driver. He won the series in Europe in that car, and he's really good, and so I hope he's going to do a good job out there for us as well,
Okay, well, another one of your cars in here now. We've got Simmons and Fulford.
Yeah, I was hoping that Craig would come in when I come in on the pace car, but Craig's going very well, I just pace him, keep enough in front of him to stay ahead, but not going flat out,
Well, a big win last year, another win today, hopefully.
Well, hopefully, but still a while to go, so we'll wait till it's finished.
Thanks, Owen.
Thanks, mate.
Well, Craig Simmons is out of that car, and it means that Bill Fulford is into the Porsche 911 RSR that we saw just pull in there in front of Owen Evans, and it makes the leaderboard at this stage as cars still under the pace car will be coming in. They'll be changing drivers. They have to do that driver change somewhere within the first 40 minutes, and 36 or 37 minutes of the race have gone, so eventually all the cars will change in the next few minutes, but at the moment it's the Bill Fulford car that's leading.
Well, yes, ahead of Owen Evans' car, which he's sharing. Ralph Callen is now out there in action. Bill Fulford, of course, the man we talked about, the team boss or the team owner of Lighting Direct. He's a 52-year-old from Auckland and a man badly hooked by the motor racing bug. As he says, it is a drug, and suddenly he's becoming the owner of more and more of these Porsches that they're going over to Europe and importing. But he's very much like a patron of some of these drivers. Owen Evans in particular, he took, as we look at the view from the Evans-Calleners car, the Gillette Custom Plus mini cam there. And I think, in fact, Murray Taylor's going to talk to Craig Simmons, the Kiwi living in London.
Yeah, well, down here with Craig Simmons. Craig, how's it going?
Good, yeah, very well. Very steady. We were able to keep, good consistent times. Car was running very nice.
Well, you're a Kiwi, but you spent a lot of time overseas.
Yeah, I've been out of New Zealand 15 odd years racing in England, so...
With some success?
Yes, with a little bit of success here and there.
What have you been doing?
Well, I've done all sorts, really. I've done Formula Ford, Formula 3, a little bit of 3000, Porsches, saloon cars, all sorts, really.
Your first time in Wellington?
Yeah, first time in Wellington, first time on the streets.
What do you think of the circuit?
It's good, yeah. It's very typical of a street circuit, very bumpy in places, but yeah, it's good. Good atmosphere here and nice bit of sunshine.
All right, well, welcome home.
Thanks very much.
And still the pace car out on the track, although I think the pace car's just disappeared, so we're racing again in the Allied Movers GT race, a 1-hour endurance race, a kind of mini Nissan Mobile 500, and it's going to be quite exciting for the next 30 or about 25 minutes left of the race. It is going to be very exciting by now. Most of the drivers would have changed with the first up drivers. This is the view from the Owen Evans, Ralph Calleners car, the Gillette Custom Plus mini cam. Now it's getting very busy out there. There's traffic to pass, as we heard from Owen Evans, and you've got to be very careful.
The car he's just gone by is the car of Wayne Murdoch from Timaru, a man who's renowned in the South Island. Well, as the little 240Z just locks it up a little, heading back inside the park. About to go, another one about to get the go-by is the Mazda RX-7, but whoa, he doesn't leave a lot of room as they head onto the Dunlop Bridge. I don't know whether I would have dived through there, James, just at that moment.
Yeah, I think he was hoping he hadn't had another coat of paint on the car, because I think he could have taken it off.
It's a good job that Owen Evans is probably a panel beater in this sort of business. When you come to race in Wellington, you need that kind of a background, I think.
I think so.
Well, I think we're in for a very exciting ride now with Ralph Calleners in the Porsche. You can see the traffic. You can see him trying to get past there on the waterfront. They're going down towards the Lion Brown corner. The overseas passenger terminal not too far away from there.
And that's the car, Brian, of Carl Hansen and Ray Williams. So they have got the diff fixed. They are back in action. The TR7 V8 just in front of our race leader there. Ralph Calleners got the TR7 V8's power to have to deal with to see how he goes by on Cable Street. Let's just check it out. Well, he got balked there, in fact, by the little Nissan Pulsar. Chose the wrong line and no way around the outside. So still the Motul car just sitting ahead of him as they head for the chicane. the chicane under braking. He got by him. So the car ahead now, I think, is the Gray Mathias, Greg Murphy car. Gray Mathias now at the wheel. And yet another guy who's sort of a patron of some of the young guns in New Zealand motorsport. And Gray probably doesn't like people talking about it, but he's a businessman, a successful businessman in Auckland, and he likes to help young guys like Greg Murphy with introductions to the right people overseas and so on, and try to get them a helping hand up in the world of motorsport and the demand for good backing from sponsors.
It's fantastic to see. Fantastic.
Let's go back down to the pits now as we look at the race leader, but Murray Taylor's in the pits with Andrew Bagnall.
Well, we've already seen Andrew Marr out on the track. Now we've got Andrew Bagnall, the inspiration behind the Wellington Street Race. How are you enjoying it?
Yeah, it's been excellent. It's been a great event, and I'm glad the weather's held up for us. Wellington's turned it on really well and done us all proud, I think.
Is this a racing comeback for you?
No, this is just a little bit of club race, which I'm doing with a few fellows.
Very pleasant.
Yeah, it's a great Sunday's outing.
And the Wellington Street Race, 10 years old?
10 years old today, and I think it's better and better every year.
Where do we go from here? 2 litre for the future?
I think 2 litre for the future, and hopefully we've seen the first 14 cars come down with manufacturer backing, and I hope next year we'll see about 30.
Well, you went to Europe and did touring cars. Any chance of you getting back into a 2 litre?
Look at my grey hair, and I think sort of age and responsibility takes over.
Okay, well done.
Thanks, Ray.
Here we go, the view from the Allied Movers minicam as they go around the New World right-hander onto Cable Street. The car of the 17 car just about to get the go-by. Matthias Hertzke and Errol Hall, 2 Aucklanders in a 240Z. And you can see that the Glenn McIntyre, Dave Barrow car, no problem whatsoever. It was looking very deranged in its handling before, but the problem obviously solved. Don't know what it was. There we go with our top 5. Owen Evans, the Fulford car in the second place. Both Porsches, of course. Andy McElray, Ashley Stitchbury in the next spot. Then the Glenn McIntyre, Dave Barrow car. And finally, Don Kay in his Porsche. We'll be back after the break.
This is Tom and his brother in their Nissan Navara.
I tell you what, brother, this jingle cake is a piece of cake.
Yeah, shall we?
Get Navara in a V6, Navara in a 4, Navara in a 2-wheel drive, Navara 4x4, Navara in an auto or 5 on the floor. And how does it look?
It looks awesome.
Very good, Tom.
Yeah, especially the rhyming, brother.
Test drive the new Navara and you too will be singing its praises.
As far as Peter Brock is concerned, the worst thing about getting somewhere is stopping on the way.
In a hurry there, Mr. Brock?
Yep, always.
Get out,
At Mobil, you won't stop for long. Mobil, the quick stop.
Gillette has always led the world in disposable razor technology. Gillette were first with a twin-blade disposable. And now, Gillette goes further ahead with new Custom Plus, the world's best disposable. It delivers greater control through its longer handle. And a smoother, easier shave because of this unique Hydroglide moisturizing strip. Custom Plus even has an aloe version for sensitive skin. New Gillette Custom Plus, the world's best disposable shave.
Heard there was a big landslide back up the highway. Could be stuck for hours, I reckon.
Yep. Look bad.
But, you got through okay.
Lucky, I guess.
So what are you driving, Superman?
Me? I drive Kuma.
What?
Drive quality. Drive Kumo tyres.
Hello,
For irresistible Christmas treats, you can't beat Michael Hill Jeweller. From our bridal collection, rings with half a carat of diamonds. This one a new style at a very special price, only $1,785. And you can take it now on no deposit, no interest and no repayments until March next year. We've also just landed a wonderful range of the finest 9-carat gold Italian earrings. This pair is only $139. For Christmas treats, Michael Hill Jeweller.
Thursday, the big night's bigger on 3. Cool at 7:30 when Oprah talks to Home Improvement's Tim Allen.
And how does your favorite tool make you feel?
Cosmic at 8:30 when Tim gets his dancing orders.
Mr. Taylor, why don't we put all of our creative energies to good use?
Refinish the floor.
Clever at 9 with a new book on.
Murphy Brown. My lips got tired at the 3rd chapter.
And Just Crazy at 9:30 with Karen's Comedy Breakdown. The laughs are on us with Thursday's even bigger night in. Here on 3.
Welcome back to the Allied Movers GT race, and trouble for Matthias Hertzke and Errol Hall in their little Datsun 240Z, wedged against the concrete barriers at Wellington.
Well, we saw them being passed just a short time ago, and let's have a look now at the Iowa replay. You'll see them losing it in a big way, hitting the concrete wall and then going one side of the track to the other. That's the end of that car. Oh, spectacular stuff.
James Kay's just sitting here, he's saying absolutely nothing. That he knows that corner very well, and I think he also knows some of that concrete just along there, James.
Yeah, I'm taking some back to England with me.
Because it was actually your head that ended up hitting the wall.
That's correct, yeah.
Well, we saw that happen to Tony Longhurst a couple of years ago. He also walked away with not much more than just a cut. Same for you, yeah?
Yeah.
And James, we'll just take a look at what happened to you in the practice. Well, that was the Hertzke car.
Nasty. I don't think he actually clipped the wall on the way in, which is what happened to you, wasn't
it? Yeah.
He's just got loose in the tail around there and oversteered, unable to hold on to it and kissed the wall.
Out on that part of the circuit, I think it's very dirty, and I think he'd actually, he either was about to overtake or be overtaken by another car there. And he got a bit crossed up through that.
Here we go, back with our race leader, Ralph Kalleners, the German GT Cup champion. Gillette Custom Plus Minicam gives us his view of the traffic on the Wellington waterfront. Comes right up behind one of the Mazda RX-7s, goes past one of the Ford Sierras, no problem whatsoever to this guy, gives a bit of a wave, but probably a fist as he takes the New World turn, and onto Cable Street, no problem whatsoever.
Well, the race leader is going down Cable Street. Clear track ahead of him at the moment, and only about 12 minutes of the Allied Movers GT race left.
There you see on the start-finish line the Park 240Z, which hit the wall there, coming onto the front straight. But Owen Evans, Ralph Kalleners, doing an excellent job in this car, which delivers about 340 horsepower out of the German machinery under the bonnet. Well, under the back of the bonnet, the boot.
For Iowa replay. The Iowa replay, and we'll have a look at the Sierra. Holy, no, that doesn't steer very well. That's the Brett Stevens, Kendall Jones Ford Sierra.
Nasty place for that to happen as well. One of the tight parts of the circuit. And that brings out the pace car, and that'll take us away just for a little bit, but stay with us for the big action on the Wellington waterfront.
Thanks to used Japanese assembled vehicles, it now costs so little to change to something better. Whether you're changing to a $5,000 or a $55,000 one, a used Japanese assembled vehicle can offer features like power steering, air conditioning, electric windows, quality stereos, and cheap running on unleaded petrol or diesel. Japanese assembled vehicles have helped set the standards for quality and reliability. Driving one makes sense. So drive one this weekend and enjoy the change.
Very interesting. Now, I want you to tell me how this one makes you feel.
Loopy? KFC chicken loopies. Care for a dip?
New KFC chicken loopies. The delicious bite-sized chicken rings with the crispy potato coating.
Are you paying attention? We're all crazy about KFC chicken loopies. KFC chicken loopies. I like it like that.
It's coming up to Christmas. Bones are going to get broken. Families are going to get broken. There'll be the usual shortage of blood. But this time, we're going looking for the drivers who caused the carnage. And we're going to strike at random. It's called a flying squad. And if you drink and drive or speed this Christmas, you won't know what's hit you. Merry Christmas.
I love you. I'll always love you. Obsession. I love you, Kay.
This is Tom and his brother in their Nissan Navara, and we've composed a little tribute to our trusty Navara. 1, 2, 3, Tom.
Navara's are for painters, Navara's are for plumbers, Navara's are for farmers, Navara's are for choppers, Navara's are for builders, Navara's are for croppers.
It's a beautiful thing, Tom. The Nissan Navara. Well, I wasn't talking about your singing, mate. This is Tom and his brother in their Navara.
Test drive the new Navara, and you too will be singing its praises.
Ah, that'll be the casserole.
New chef casserole. Chicken and turkey, beef and kidney, meaty chunks and a rich home-style gravy. It's just like you'd make at home.
This is an Iowa. Remember that, an Iowa. It is not an Iowa, nor is it an Iowa. An Iowa is a large state in the USA, and an Iowa is a particularly nasty karate move. Please note the difference. Otherwise, instead of getting one of the best mini-systems in the world, you could well end up with a very large piece of dirt. Or a very painful experience. Good luck with your shopping.
Gillette has always led the world in disposable razor technology. Gillette were first with a twin-blade disposable. And now, Gillette goes further ahead with new Custom Plus, the world's best disposable. It delivers greater control through its longer handle. And a smoother, easier shave because of this unique Hydroglide moisturizing strip. Custom Plus even has an aloe version for sensitive skin. New Gillette Custom Plus, the world's best disposable shave.
It's a big one, it's 6.
Oh, what a shot. Schweppes and 3 Sport are proud to present a summer of international cricket in association with Caltex, Tip Top, DB Draft, and McDonald's. We bring you a carnival of test and one-day cricket action. The Benson & Hedges International One-Day Series from South Africa and the World Series from Australia. Exclusive international action you just can't miss. Schweppes presents a season of sensational cricket this summer on TV3.
Catch it on 3.
Welcome back to the streets of Wellington in the Allied Movers GT race, again under pace car because of more action on the streets. There has been more carnage, but we're going down into the underground garage with Andrea Johnson with a report on the Snitzer team.
On you, Andrea.
Charlie Lamb, the engine is just going back into the car. Are you optimistic it'll get to the race?
Yes, at the moment it looks good that both cars will be doing the second race. I mean, there has been quite considerable damage to the front of Steve's car. Joe's back end is damaged, as everybody who watched the race could see. But then again, both cars should make it to the second race.
So what exactly has gone on here? Almost a complete rebuild job?
Well, we could say a rebuild job of the front end of the car, yes. The engine was badly damaged in this accident. And then also the front body parts were damaged, and this need to be replaced. But then again, the people are very quick and they're very trained to do this kind of service work, and as such, I'm confident that we can make it.
Steve seemed pretty upset. He's okay about this?
Yes, I mean, obviously there are 2 things. Hang on. Okay, we are fine, I think. Well, they fought hard for this victory, and at the end, I mean, there was an accident which caught Steve out, and obviously he was not happy. Again, you have to see them. In this moment, they were fighting for 26 laps of full concentration. Always trying to not make a single mistake, and then again this thing happened, and this obviously did disappoint Steve. Again, he will concentrate again, he can relax a little bit, and we will see him in the second race.
Charlie, we'll be watching with interest. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Above ground we go again to the race. Another just 4 to 5 minutes left of the Allied Movers GT race, and there's our race leader, the Porsche in the hands of Ralph Kalleners from Germany. Owen Evans and Ralph Kalleners sharing the drive, and Ralph with a very comfortable lead, and just judging by the leaderboard, it's something like a 2-minute lead over the Bill Fulford Simmers car.
Yes, absolutely unchallenged, even after the pace car periods have had their played their part in this race, closing them up more than 2 or 3 times now as he comes away round the Nissan Mobile 500 corner. In fact, I don't believe that that gap we've been given is quite correct, unless this is the car they're about to lap, the sister car. Here we go. Looks like we've got with Allied Movers Minicam is giving us the view from the Glenn McIntyre Dave Barrow car. We understand Dave Barrow at the wheel at the moment, and just ahead of him Wayne Murdoch, actually running as the first of the non-Porsche entries in this race, and that puts him back in 8th place, but a very strong performance from that Nissan Silvia from the South Island. So Wayne Murdoch and Bill McFarland were very very regular competitors here in Wellington, usually in a Ford Capri in the early years, and it's good to see him back on the streets.
We're talking about Fords, a great drive coming from Andy McElroy and Ashley Stitchbury, a couple of Formula Ford champions, and they are in 3rd place overall at the moment in a Porsche.
Yep, it's Porsche's wall-to-wall here in this race, of course, and that was pretty much what everyone expected, but Murdoch leading the fight, as we say, for the non-Porsche runners. There you can see one of the, I think it's the race leader, just gone by the Glenn McIntyre Dave Barrow car, and the view from the Allied Movers Minicam shows him just what sort of progress he's able to make through this heavy traffic. There's the Terry Siddle Mustang right ahead. One of the touring cars from a past era, this one, but still a very powerful motor car, but obviously not able to foot it with the European thoroughbreds in this race. Round the Tate Communications left hand and along the waterfront there, under the sponsorship where all the Allied Movers people are up there having their jollies, drinking their drinks and yelling for their team to come on through. The Allied Movers car currently back in 4th place.
That's the view of Ralph Kalleners at the wheel of the Porsche, out on his own, and only a matter of a couple of minutes left for the 1 hour. Is Owen Evans just checking the leaderboard, checking the times.
Watching the 3 Sport on TV. Brian, hush your mouth, boy. Of course he's watching us. He wants to know what's happening on the streets of Wellington, and these great in-car pictures, these mini-cam shots are bringing you exactly how it feels to deal to the streets of Wellington in one of these Porsche Carrera RSRs. James, have you ever driven actually one of the RSRs or not?
No, unfortunately I've never had the chance to drive one. They really look fantastic to drive, great grip, a huge amount of power by the looks of it, looks fantastic.
Beautiful car, looks very well set up for the streets of Wellington, even though of course wouldn't be anything like the same feeling you'd be getting out of a 2-litre Tourer.
No, the 2-litre Tourer is first of all, most of the cars in England now are front-wheel drive, so it's a completely different driving style to this. They use a sequential gearbox, so there's very little time in the gear changes, and the tyres are not quite as big as these that they're using on these Porsches here, but they're offering a great amount of grip in the corners.
Well, of course, we saw these cars come to Wellington last year, as once again we take the view from the Allied Movers Minicam along the waterfront, and they managed to win the race. They were not on the pace with the 2-litre cars, but of course there was a fair degree of attrition and some carnage involving Paul Radisic's Ford Mondeo along this stretch of waterfront we're about to tackle now. And of course that put the Porsches into a very convincing stranglehold on this race.
Real traffic jam there. Look at that. There's our race leader almost going offline. I think he was caught with a little bit of traffic there, Ralph Kalleners. He knows he's only got a matter of a lap or 2 to go. Comes out of the Lion Brown corner and through the New World corner back towards Cable Street. And maybe only another lap, perhaps. There can't be too much more of this race left. And another great win for the Lighting Direct team.
They'll be very happy with this. Owen Evans and Ralph Kalleners, and that is it. The checkered flag comes out for them. Owen Evans and Ralph Kalleners take the checkered flag for this Allied Movers Wellington GT race. In the 2nd spot, quite a long way back, you'll see the Bill Fulford Craig Simmers car, and still to come, somewhere down the track. Andy McElrea and Ashley Stitchbury will take the next, but there's the in-car view. Ralph Calliner's waving out to the marshals there. He'll be a happy chappy, come to Wellington to do the job with the Lighting Direct team. Owen Evans there, all the teammates. Ashley Stitchbury just doing his jacket up. He'll be happy as well. And I think Murray Taylor's about to have a talk to our race winner, Owen Evans. Well, when he can get his attention. Yeah, he's just tapping him on the shoulder. No, there's Calliner's. Now the helmet off. As you can see, quite a young man, but already one of the talents of the German ADAC GT Cup, where they take on the likes of Honda NSXs. What else they're running in that championship, James? Quite a bit of heavy-duty GT racing.
Mainly Porsches, but the Honda NSX you just mentioned has just come into it this last year, which is a works effort from Honda. And the series is growing and growing all the time, but it is mainly Porsches at the moment, with it being in Germany.
Right. BMW M3s, I think, as well, but Ralph Calliner's, Owen Evans, I think Murray Taylor now has the man of the moment. Owen Evans, his second race on the streets of Wellington, second win.
Yeah, well, congratulations, Owen. Another good win for Porsche.
Yeah, thanks very much. We've had a bit of a bonus today of the Lighting Direct cars, all of them finishing 1, 2, 3, I believe, so we're absolutely wrapped. Really pleased.
Well, another one that's very pleased is Colin Giltrap. Porsche seem to do well here in the streets of Wellington.
Oh, yes, they're very good. The boys have done a terrific job, and they're very good cars. The boys brought about the latest cars from Germany that Ralph Klenner's running the ADAC and won the German championship with it. So it's full marks to Bill for going to the effort for bringing out such a good car, and Owen for doing such a good job of driving it with them.
Well, it's great to see Calliner's here, because you must know his dad is Helmut Calliner's.
Yes,
McLaren's.
I know of him, but I didn't actually know him personally. But Porsche are right behind the Asia Pacific sort of area now, and we hope that this is going from strength to strength. Porsche racing, they were 1st to 7th in a big race in China last week, or 2 weeks ago rather, and they're taking a specific interest in the Asia Pacific area.
Oh, that's good. And you're delighted with your young protege from Germany.
Oh yeah, Ralph's been a big bonus as far as help setting up the car. He knows the car backwards, and he's been excellent. Very good. So.
Well, last year it was Eichmann, this year it was Calliner's. Who's next?
I'm not sure. We'll have to work that out. But no, we're very pleased. It's been good. You know, it's a good payback for Bill, and all the boys are wrapped. You know, you do it for everyone else.
Well, there's a young German that's just won the World Championship. Maybe that's next year.
Maybe. We'll see what happens.
Okay, congratulations.
Thanks very much.
So as Ralph Calliner's pulls into the paddock area there at the end of another victory for the Lighting Direct team. There's the top, the leaderboard. Craig Simmons, Bill Fulford in the second place in the sister car. Ashley Stitchbury and Andy McElrea in yet another Lighting Direct car in third place. Then Dave Barrow and Glenn McIntyre, the comeback car that had the prang yesterday. Clive Pilkington and Don Kay in the fifth place Porsche Carrera. Then Grant Liston and Andrew Bagnall in sixth place. Greg Murphy and Gray Mathias survived that little scrape and came in seventh. Bill McFarlane and Wayne Murdoch in the first of the non-Porsche runners in eighth. Wayne Anderson and Bruce Anderson brothers in the Ford Mustang. Sorry, that's Andrew Anderson and his dad in ninth. And then Andrew Marr. In fact, it was Kenny Smith and Grant Aiken in the little Suzuki Swift in 10th place.
The Nissan Mobile 500 Grand Touring Cars are proudly presented by Allied Movers.
So once again, a very professional performance by Bill Fulford, the team owner of the Lighting Direct team, and also Owen Evans and Eugene. A very well-run, well-organised team out of Auckland. So good to see the Kiwi team doing well, winning it. The Porsches, 1, 2, 3 for the second year in a row around the streets of Wellington. Well, that was the Mini Enduro. Still to come this afternoon, we're counting down to the second race. It's that second knockout bout between the two Super Schnitzers and the BMW, the AP Touring Cars 2 litres. And next up, it'll be the New Zealand Touring Cars. So stay with us because the streets of Wellington are running hot this Sunday afternoon.